Third time's the
Fourth.
charm?
Fourth.
Fourth? Oh my God. Well, this is even better. Wow. So exciting. Have you are you still rising from all those energies that we just had from the new moon? I know I am.
I'm crashing.
Over
I'm
here.
crashing. My neck is hurting. The back of my head is hurting, but that's okay. We got a show to do, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to make it lovely. Lovely. Hey, Kurt Seltzer, thank you so much for listening in to my interview with Duke on World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. That was a lot of fun, man. Betty Spaghetti, you were looking lovely tonight. Remember, a great way to support this show is by giving us a thumbs up or down. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 11,000, and we appreciate that. The Super Chat is open. So if you want to super chat us, you can do that as well, along with shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. We are ready to kick this shit off. Let's do this. Hi, gorgeous Anne Celine. Kings of Kvist, how are you? Good to see you. And, yes, the Quirky Cosmo promises she's not going to swear tonight and make Dave edit after the show. So we're going to have a good one. We're going to get running here in 5 seconds. Sit back, sit tight, because we're going to kick some ass. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. I'm so excited to have our guest back tonight. Kerri Ann Sanders is a spiritual intuitive. She's based out of Florida via California, where her own spiritual transformations came after a loss of a family member. Today and now, she works with people to help open up their own spiritual gifts and healings, and by golly, this young lady has just the most immaculate talent and energy, and I can't wait for you to hear her. Her website is quirkycosmo.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Quirky Cosmo. Kerri Ann Sanders, it is always lovely to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How you been?
I've been transitioning. I've been moving into new territories in my life, and I've been expanding with just absolute open arms. So it's been tumultuous, it's been beautiful, it's been crash landings and full throttle to get back up in the air all at the same time. It's been beautiful. So 2020 was a beautiful experience of growth and expansion for me in my own fields that I work. And 2021 has really launched me into a new direction. So I'm loving the new vibes that I have. So I'll put it that way. That's what I'm doing.
During such a tough time where a lot of people are going through some of the most difficult times of their life, how are you remaining so positive?
Because your thoughts create your reality. And if I keep my thoughts positive, then my reality continues to be in a positive state. So as long as I keep optimistic, then it's just proven in my life to continue to show me bounteousness and new opportunities. So that is what keeps me optimistic and moving. And I don't really see, what's been going on as a tragedy. For me, I come from the spiritual aspect of it. So what I see is what has to be broken down in order to be rebuilt. And so that happens to manifest in the external world on the collective level. And yes, it looks distraughted, but I personally have been, and I know that a lot of people listening to this channel have all been through hardships in our life. And it's not about, you know, continuing to coax the boo-boos. It's about, you know, saying, hey, here's the Band-Aid. Now stop focusing on the boo-boo and let's go have some fun. Let's go and create something new. And so for me, that's one way, you know, that I've seen this past year, you know, play out. It's just an unfolding of, you know, these safety nets that everybody's created, whether it's in the financial or it's family or it's some kind of group network that helps them, or a job even, right? Or, you know, a spiritual path that has kept them, you know, in their safe zone. And just watching these safety nets all fall off and see what these people are truly made of and how it pushes their boundaries, it pushes their limits with themselves. And, you know, and that's what it's about. It's about growth. It's about emotional and mental and spiritual growth. So it's been a beautiful process, and I've had the luxury of being on the other end where I'm able to communicate to people like, hey, things are going to get better. It looks like a bad sandwich right now, but it's going to get better, you know.
For you, you know, as someone who is very much in connection with their own spirituality and their own spiritual growth, how have you been able to expand your own positivity with so much negative around?
Well, I mean, I am a Sagittarius sun, so that really helps. No, but on the real note, I have, you know, two beautiful children that really keep me positive whenever things do look stark in my life. And the network of people that have, you know, formed around me in the spiritual community, my soul family or monad, you know, they're very supportive. And my network on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, you know, I have these platforms that I've, you know, created and I've had beautiful people come in to help be supportive and optimistic and just be able to reflect. You know, when you think your life is bad, it's like you just need to look back and look around you and see like you don't have the worst of it. It may feel like it to you because it's out of that safety or out of that comfort zone. But in the truth, it's like there's always somebody that is going through more than what you are. And it's not where we're trying to compare our situations, but it does give you a sense of like, hey, I have a roof over my head. I have food in front of me. I have people that love me and support me every day, you know. So it really puts a spin, and you can see and be grateful for these opportunities and these beings and that you have created. So really looking at what you do have and having that gratitude for what life has given you, not what it's taken from you. Because anything that's taken is clearly something that's not supposed to be there, not meant to be there long term. And so we can also see that where one door closes, another door opens, if you really want to look at it that way. And so that's just where I get up and I'm like, there's so much purpose in changing your mind and reprogramming the mind, or your ego is what people like to refer to it as. So just reprogramming that ego consciousness and seeing things for the positive, right? Seeing the gratitude, seeing the change, and given the opportunity to get out of that safety net and that comfort zone to become something more, you know. And every day we can show up and be more than what we were the day before. You know, you can change something or do something with more vigor, more effort, more play in your life. So that's been key for me, is the play word, play and dancing. And just, like I said, I transitioned into a different, not different, but the next realm, the next level within my own practice. So, you know, I've moved into doing more body work, sound healing, alchemy with the sound, and, you know, singing bowls and gongs and the hand pans. And I mean, you name it, I'm playing it, drums and dancing. And I hold women's ceremonies and ecstatic dance with men and women. And I hold more ceremonies in my community. I'm more active in my community in person as well. And I faced a lot of fears when I got a paddle board and started going out into the ocean, which I was extremely afraid to go out into the ocean. And I'm facing my fears and, you know, helping people at the same time face their fears of like not being being in their body. So many people are afraid to be in their body, and, you know, just to be able to hold that space and to allow people to feel, you know, comfortable with being uncomfortable. It has been just a really big shift within my own heart coherence, and the joy and the play that I get to experience every day. And my life doesn't look like everybody else's, I suppose, but it's 2020 and 2021 have been an absolutely amazing year thus far. So yeah, I'm appreciative of having everything taken from me when my mother passed, like you talked about earlier. It's just having everything taken and losing my livelihood, losing my home, losing my company, like losing all of that. And it felt like the world was ending. And then just now, you know, 5 years later, and I'm like, wow, everything was just opening for me. And I had no idea this limited box of opportunities that I was living in. So it's been a blessing. It truly has.
Kerri Ann Sanders is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Kerri Ann, for a lot of people who may not be familiar with your work, how did you get into the spiritual realm? You just mentioned a little bit it had to do with kind of, you know, going through a pitfall with your mother passing, losing your business. How did it take off for you? How did you find that beacon of light?
Well, when you have nothing else to lose, might as well go crazy, right?
Sure.
And lose a little bit more, right? No, lose your quote-unquote sanity, if that's what you want to call being in the Matrix. But for me, like, yes, it was losing everything. But I mean, that didn't happen all right away. I mean, I did get a phone call from a medium after my mom passed, and she, you know, it struck my interest in, like, what is a medium? My only idea of a medium at that point in my life was, you know, 1-800-psychics.com or whatever, or when I call 1-800-psychics or whatever it was. So I was like, what's a medium? And going to YouTube, and like I typed in what's a medium, and I stumbled across a tarot reader, and it got me into tarot. And I was like, well, what's the zodiac? And I was like, I know I'm a Sagittarius. And so it got me into astrology. And I started following a friend of mine on YouTube and got really caught into I really just clicked with astrology. And the same medium that called me, her and I ended up becoming friends, and she got me into the Gene Keys. And so I was working with the Gene Keys teachings, which are a transmission of, you know, basically how your cellular body works within these consciousness frequency bands and within the DNA, like how the DNA forms through consciousness, through frequency and sound, and how these consciousness show up as, you know, psychology or personality traits, and how we can transcend them through epigenetics, and how, you know, and then I within working with astrology and the Gene Keys, I was starting to see how the Gene Keys worked, how it played into astrology, and how they work simultaneously. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is even better. And so I was able to combine the two things that I loved the most at that time in my life. And I just took everything, all the time that I had, you know, because I had lost everything and moved across country. So I just took all that time that I had to heal myself, and I started to reprogram my mind and my emotions, and started going through this dark night. I was going through my dark night of the soul, or tower moment, or just this huge life-changing experience. And so I had this opportunity to heal myself. And so I did, and I just really dove deep and studied more. And astrology led me into esoteric astrology, which is an internal dive into, you know, the planetary alignments and what those look like from a soul level, and not so much from a personality level, which is what we see as regular astrology out there. It's called exoteric astrology. And by diving deeper into the esoteric teachings, which are written over like by Alice Bailey and Helena Blavatsky, written over 100 years ago, it brought me into a lot of cellular DNA activations from lineage, like past lives, and I was opening up to these masters, these ascendant masters in their work. Just like if anybody opens up a book, you're going to tap into that consciousness, because the book that you think that you're holding, it is physical in its essence. Yes, it's a tangible thing in the material world, but there's a consciousness that is holding that frequency wave. And so anytime that you get a book, you're bringing in that consciousness, and by expanding into the gene keys and astrology and esoterics, I was really able to connect to deeper teachings that went into the stars, the esoterics, and the plasma of the body, and these depths within what we call Shambhala. These are the depths within our bodies, the cities of light. And so they started illuminating within my field, and more of life started unraveling, which looked like more chaos and confusion and emotional upheaval and all that. And it was, but as that emotional upheaval and the drama was playing out, it was leaving my field. It was like, you got to feel it to heal it, and you got to see it to know it, And so as all of this just started washing from my field, and I started feeling more centered, more calm, more aware in my own right, my own place and being and practice, I just continued to expand into more teachings and transcending those and integrating and weaving them into, a practice. I call it a practice, but a teaching, an approach to helping others the same way that I did me with myself. And when I did that, it was just beautiful. The universe just started flooding me with more people, because it's like I had created a fast track system, and there's no such thing as fast tracking, but it was like an expedite of all of your woundings and your healings, and a way to bring the awareness through the planetary alignments and how to calculate and understand, like, when you're going to have certain activations, and how you can really, people are like, well, I got to wait for a full moon, or I got to wait for a new moon, or I got to wait for my Saturn to return, or Mars conjunct or sextile, or, have these alignments in the planet. And it's like, yes, but no. Actually, no. If you're just aware of the consciousness and how it forms these amino acid protein structures in your body, you can actually go in and I call it contemplative analysis, and you can start dissecting and pulling apart, like, where your emotional equanimity and intellectual ability to speak and communicate how you feel in relationships, and your genius and what you're here to really create and co-create with others, and through others' interactions. And it was just a beautiful experience to be able to bring. And the more that I did that, the more I dove into other teachings and started integrating the other teachings into what I call cosmic blueprinting, and just to really help people get a full picture. I use human design as well, so that they can have a visual of the meridians and how the energy moves through the body, and how to transcend your karma and really just become your quantum self, and transcend all of the limiting beliefs that our DNA holds at a shadow frequency, or a very low or third dimensional frequency, to fourth and fifth dimensional awareness, and embody these and activate dormant DNA cells and strands DNA, and so it has been a beautiful experience for me in that realm, truly.
The Quirky Cosmo, Kerri Ann Sanders, is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got about 5 minutes before we need to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Kerri Ann, as you decided to go on this journey to find your inner soul and get in touch with your spiritual side, how hard was it for you in environment around you, like when you were making these changes? What was the reactions from people that were close to you in your personal life? Were they accepting, or was it a difficult task?
That's actually a really good question. For me, well, it was pretty simple. I uprooted my family and we moved across country. So I broke ties with all of my friends and all of my family. Like I have my stepdad and my sister that are, I'm still close to and communicate with often. They're very loving, very supporting of whatever I choose to do. And that's the family that I was brought up in, and so I'm blessed in that fact. I know that that's not forever. I know that's not everybody's story, but in my case it was. But for my friends or any lingering cousins or other than that, like I just cut ties. I didn't care. Again, I was going through a very tumultuous time in my life where I had lost my mother, who had been my only parent. I have my stepfather as well that I love very, very much, but my mother is what I grew up with my entire life. And so when that was gone, it was like, what does it matter what anybody else thinks? And I really went into that place of it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And then I moved to a different state, across the country. And so I really got to be whoever I chose to be. And there was no expectations from any external, other than my own ideologies and programming from the business that I had been in before, which is, the beauty industry. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of backlash from family or from friends. I got to be myself and whatever that looked like and what I was going through. Now, I did have a husband at the time, and he was supportive, very supportive, and he still is very supportive, in all of this work that I do. He's actually on his path and making meditation music now. So it's really cool to know that, your shift can have an effect in a positive way on other people in your life as well. So I've honestly been supported in this journey. So I've been really blessed.
Do you feel that inner strength of just not caring was part of the strength you needed to gain in order to do what you do today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was key. It was, all cares to the wind and full steam ahead. If somebody had something to say, I was like, to me, I was like, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you're opted with the opportunity to research it yourself. So I just looked at them as they just don't know. And if somebody had something negative to say, which was very rare, but unless whenever I first started my YouTube channel, it wasn't very rare. It was pretty often. And I actually almost didn't follow through with my YouTube channel. And I was like, no way am I letting anybody's comments deter me from being me. I am here. I am loud. I am proud. I am authentic. This is my journey. This is my expression. Hear me roar. And I just went full steam ahead. And it didn't matter. Like, I look back at my old videos and I'm just like, I'm like, oh my gosh. I sit here and I'm not trying to judge myself, but you have those moments where you look back at your old pictures from high school and you're like, oh, my hair, what was I thinking? Why did I wear that? And so I look back at my old videos and I'm like, it's such growth. There's so much growth that happens within your first year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's just a complete changeover from the person that you used to be. But I'm so proud that I never stopped and I didn't change the way that I needed to show up, because there is no special way to show up with a bow and have beautiful fluffy words. There's so many different ways to express yourself, and there's not a template that says, well, this is what you got to look like when you go out there into the spiritual world. Of course, there's a mindset with a lot of people, well, oh, this is what they're doing. This is what I've got to sound like. This is what centered beings sound like and look like. And I'm like, no, they don't, because I'm centered. I'm amazing. And I've worked through a lot of my stuff. And here I am, loud and proud with lots to say, that right. My words are not always, yep.
You just hold on right there, because we are going to step out for a break here at the bottom of the hour. The Quirky Cosmo, Kerri Ann Sanders is our guest tonight. We're finding our Zen and our Chi, and by damn it, she's probably going to beat it into us by the end of the night, so that'll be kind of cool, I guess. Her website, quirkycosmo.com. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. Good stuff. Good first half hour. Solid radio.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I did slip on a word in the very beginning.
I know.
With the messy sandwich. I apologize.
That's all right, potty mouth.
It's so natural. But at least it was in the very beginning, right?
Yeah, well, you almost got it out. You actually cut it off right at the end.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Even better.
Yeah.
Just sending everybody in the chat room some love here while we're on this little break.
Good.
Loving.
Yeah, because we're all mad at Kira in the chat room right now because apparently she's making pork ribs, and yeah, I know you don't eat meat, but the rest of us do, and yeah, her house smells like herbs and garlic, and we're all like, we hate you right now.
Aww.
Yeah.
Man, my sister made chicken tonight because she's a meat eater, and she made chicken tonight and it smelled so good. I was like, oh, that smells so good. She's like, you want some? I was like, no, I'll pass, but it does smell like good memories. Mm-hmm. But I'm making jackfruit tacos, pulled pork, but pulled jackfruit tacos tomorrow with a guava barbecue sauce that I got. It's so good. Oh my God, they're so yummy.
That does sound good.
It tastes. Yeah, I was seriously impressed. Like my friend turned me onto this jackfruit, and at first it just smells like this super sweet. Some people don't like the smell of it, but I was like, how is this going to taste good? You boil it up just like you do chicken, and it starts pulling apart, and then you just mesh in your seasonings, and I'm telling you, Dave, it is amazing, man. I love them. It's become like my new meat.
Do you know what's new meat?
What?
Meat.
Mm-mm.
Bacon. Bacon. Oh, yeah. Pulled pork. Mm-hmm.
I get that better than burger meat. My kids like that. And we do better than meat. Better than meat. I can't remember.
You know there's no such thing as a vegan burger, right?
It's made out of sweet potatoes and lentils.
That's not a burger. It's not a burger.
It doesn't move, no, but it tastes like it. Just add a little bit of, veganese and lettuce, tomato, onions,
so bad.
sauteed
You are
mushrooms.
so bad. You are so bad right now.
So good. Are you hungry?
No. I'm actually, a little. My mouth is feeling pasty now. Ugh. But.
No, it's so delicious. Whenever you come out to Florida to visit me, I will make you a vegan burger, and you won't even know the difference. They're so good.
There is, that's what people said when they just try the fish. It doesn't taste any different. Yeah, right. Came right up.
Oh, if you do come out here though, you got to get grouper tacos. Before I went vegan, I had grouper tacos, and I'm gonna tell you right now, those things are worth looking at twice on a menu. I'll tell you that. They are so good. I'd never had grouper till I moved on to the Gulf Coast, and it's amazing.
I don't eat fish.
You don't eat fish?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't eat fish either, but for the most part, I was having salmon occasionally until I got food poisoning, and my body was like, no more salmon. I was like, no more.
Nope.
And I was like, it's like the last of me is like, the old me is like gone. I'm like, no, but bye. I love you. The meals that I make now are so green, so healthy. They're vibrant in colors. Like, it's just amazing the food that you can actually create with just fruits and vegetables.
I had
spaghettis.
I'll make you feel good here. I had a raw vegetable dinner tonight.
Raw vegetable dinner? You did? What did you do? Just grab the whole head of broccoli and run to the desk?
No, instead of eating salad, I had some cucumber and some cauliflower and mushrooms and orange peppers and what else did I have? Yeah.
That's good.
I like
really
raw
good.
vegetables. I'll eat raw vegetables. I like them.
Yeah, raw is really good.
You know what makes makes vegetables really good is when you have meat beside it. Anyways,
no.
Hold on, beautiful. Hold on. A big thank you to Cat Chaser for kicking off the super chat tonight. Really appreciate it. We're going to kick off the second half hour right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the Quirky Cosmo, Kerri Ann Sanders, all the way from Florida. And, during the break, we were getting into a big debate. The gloves were off, just like a good old-fashioned hockey fight. Vegans versus meat eaters. I'm on team meat eater. She's on team vegan. And trying to tell me that burgers, you can have burgers that don't include meat. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It's impossible. But, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can have other than just meat and those fake meat patties. I mean, you can create scrumptious portobello burgers as well without putting any of the artificial or the meats together, like the beef, the non-beef patties. You can also use portobello mushrooms you'd saute those up with onions, and it just tastes so good. And you don't have that, your body's not having to fight against any of the, parasites that come in with meat. And that's like my biggest deter, and that pulled me away from eating the meat. It wasn't the fact that the slaughtering of the animals, which is a big push for a lot of people that go vegan, the humane way to live. For me, it's not that. It was, I grew up on a farm, and we slaughtered our own cattle and pigs and chickens and stuff like that. So I grew up very
now you're making my mouth water. Now you're making my mouth water.
And I did FFA and 4-H and all that. So I grew up in all of that. So for me, it wasn't about the animal humane or anything like that. It was more so about understanding like what gluten does to the body, what parasites come in the meat, and how that plays into the gut, into your intelligence, and to being able to have really good coherence within the body, heart, mind, gut, all three brains working in coherence without any, parasites getting lodged into the brain or into the gut brain, and so that actually is what keeps a lot of people in loops. We get, especially if you have dairy, if you're drinking milk and things like that, then milk, cow's milk specifically, will create parasites that go specifically in gluten that go into the brain, and they'll start growing worms. Parasites, worms, long worms will start growing in your brain, and it'll cause defects whenever you go to think, whenever you go to, have new thoughts. These parasites will crave these foods, and you'll keep feeding the parasites in the body. And so you're not able to create these new neurological pathways whenever you're having heavy doses of meat and dairy in your diet, and gluten. Gluten's actually like the worst for the brain. Whereas if you're looking with fish and meat, red meat and all that, you're working more with the gut brain there. So, and that, I know that there's a lot of people that do the keto diet and everything, to each is their own. This is just my journey. And for me, it's, I listen to what my body says, and my body said it was time to shift. It was time to bring more greens into my diet, more fruits, more vegetables, and to get rid of the gluten, to get rid of all of these these foods that would keep my vibration low, or I'd want to go get more sweets, or I'd want to go get more, milk, or, eat a bowl of cereal or something like that. It was a constant, like, feeding the demons within, just anyway. So
bring the demons on.
Very aware.
Bring the demons on. No. Oh yeah.
I had one of my clients, she's a health practitioner, and she specializes in deworming people. It's so cool, but so gross at the same time. And so she was telling me about, like, people will go poo, and they bring her their stools, and they'll measure how long these worms are that come out of their bodies. And it's like from eating the meat or the gluten, and you can literally poop these out. And if you dissected your poop,
don't come to my house after tacos. I'll tell you that. Don't come to my house after tacos. Let's move on here, Kerri Ann. I want to get into some astrology here, because you're into the stars. You're into trying to figure out everything that is going on an astrological level. How did you get into astrology? And for people who may not be familiar with it, what's it all about?
Well, I mean, it's psychology. You are everybody is imprinted, not only from a genetic level, which is passed on through in the blood, but you're also imprinted from the stars. The planets, if you will. And this creates a certain psychological roadmap in which you're going to play out your life. You got to feel it to heal it. And that's what we call our karma. It's nothing that's brought in through past lives. It's not. That's the genetic aspect. That's what's brought in through past lives. That's the hereditary aspect of, unprogramming yourself. But you also have the planetary aspect of, how you're going to go about the experiences that you need to have to heal the consciousness of the collective wound that you incarnated here to heal, to feel, and to get the soul growth, the soul knowledge. And then you can transcend it and move on to your next life, or you can stay and repeat. It's a choice. And but the stars, for me, I mean, it's every night, we're looking up at the stars, and we're wondering how these beautiful, vast balls of light impact our life. And it was really simple whenever you look at, the religion, the Christian text specifically, the Christian text, and how it talks about the 12 disciples, and you look and it's the 12 verticals of vertices of the brain, and how it connects, and how each one of the planets rule, these zodiac signs, and how these planets carry an even larger energy than just the zodiac itself. And so just diving into, like, the planetary energy and, like, the rays, there's the 7 rays. And I know a lot of you guys have probably seen that Pink Floyd shirt where it's the white light going into the triangle or the prism and then coming out the rainbow, right? So that represents the 7 rays. That's the 7 rays. That's the source of all creation of light on this planet. And so those 7 rays of source light filter in through the Trinity, which is the trine between Sirius, the Pleiades, and the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And that creates a Trinity, and that's the godmothers that watch over this universe, if you will. And that comes through the trine, and it comes out the seven rays, and the rays get filtered in through the planets, and the planets then take another dive into the zodiac, and then that's how we get imprinted with our specific energies and how we act and how we we physically manifest, not just from a genetic level, but it has to do with imprinting as well as your astrology. And there's even more to it than just the 12 zodiacs there, and your natal chart from the day that you're born. You actually have a natal chart from 88 days prior to being born. That is your autopilot. And this autopilot is what was known in human design as the body or your unconscious. And so this 88 days prior to being born has a lot to do with how you work on an automatic, just a natural way, a natural essence of you. And the day that you were born, your natal chart from the day that you're born, your zodiac sign, your sun, your earth, your moon, your Venus and Mars and Mercury and all this, but that's all your karma. That's your personality, the personal reality in which you're going to project out into to create your world, the people, the places, the experiences that give you that map, that psychological map that you designed, that your soul designed to experience in this incarnation. So when we can take these two sides, your autopilot and your karma or your mind, and we can transcend them to the higher frequencies, because each one of these alignments, whether it's your sun, you have octaves, just like if you're playing a guitar or a piano, and you can hit an octave of and you can be at you can be there in that beautiful tone, which I love, by the way. Sounds so good, so healing. You can be in that tone and keep riding that wave, and you're going to still get hit by the same energies, the same experiences, repeat. And, essentially you can listen to the same song over and over and over, but you do get tired of it. And so you want to move up to the next octave. And after enough experiences, you finally, of getting hit in the face with, bored, you're like, okay, I'm going to dodge this one. Duck. And then you're like, whoa, I ducked. I didn't get hit for the 100th time in the face with the same board. And so then you can move to the next octave of and go higher in your frequency. And so you'll vibrate at a higher frequency. And so your life will reflect it. And that's the beauty. So astrology is so many layers, but quintessentially it is the mapping of the conscious mind, of the awake mind, of the ego, of your programming, and the experiences that you're here to gain. So we can look at one of the most important places to look in the chart is not your sun. Everybody's like, oh, your sun sign. No, this is your personality, what you're supposed to overcome. This is the characteristic traits that you're supposed to move through and to master, so that it just goes into your toolbox of mastery. And you can show up with the best of that personality, the best of your personality, but essentially your greatest gift that you can unlock is, for one, your heart, but for two, it's going to be your ascendant. And everybody in astrology, not everybody, but a lot of people overlook the ascendant and just say, oh, I don't even know what my ascendant is. Well, that's your first house. Whatever your first house is, that's your ascendant. And your ascendant is what you ascend as you rise in your frequency, you rise in your awareness, you rise in consciousness. Your ascendant is actually what you're stepping into. It's your soul's essence. It's what you're here to embody and then merge with your personality. And this becomes your gift in which you're here to serve on the behalf of, your source, your soul self, your source self, not the ego or the personality self that shows up and is like, hey, I'm Kerri or I'm Dave, nice to meet you. It's like, no, my soul is Kariana, and this is her ascendant, and this is how she shows up as a quantum being, as an integrated being. And so we really want to cultivate our charts, and we can do this by, I honestly say, get the gene keys to everybody. This way it gives you don't have to understand astrology necessarily and what the planets mean, because the gene keys will help lay out what the consciousness is that is held by the placement in the zodiac. And we have these 64 consciousness constructs, these frequency bands that our amino acids create. And this actually goes back into the I Ching and this ancient divination that's been used, in the Chinese tradition or culture for over 6,000 years. And it was just it was used as a divination back in the day. But anyways, on to the story. So the astrology, if you're looking at your astrology, you want to look at your ascendant and you want to say like, okay, this is where my soul's essence is. It lies. It's my first house. It's where I came in as I am a child. I am an infant. I am spirit. I am spirit and I want to play. Your first house is like when you first come in to life. And mine is Cancer. So it's this nurturing, loving place, this motherly archetype. And so as I grew, I was an only child for about 9 years, and my mom had another kid, my little sister. She's 9 years younger than me. So I had this independent wildness about me for a very long time. And I didn't care to have kids. I didn't care about others. I was very much that Sagittarius, my sun sign, which was go and do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it, just travel and go and leave and party and play, and just very optimistic into different philosophies and teachings. And I jumped into all kinds of different religions as a kid. I was all over the place with it. And as I grew and I ended up having a child of my own, I started stepping into my ascendant and taking on this nurturing role. And I'm really grateful I did, because that's actually what I'm doing now as I stepped into my ascendant now. And I've gone through my Saturn return. I've had all these beautiful life changeovers, and now I'm fully in my ascendant. And I'm here to help nurture and guide people through their own transition. And so had I not stepped into, or just stayed in my personality, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't even, if you're just a personality, Sagittarius, for example, and I'm not saying this for everybody, I'm just giving an example here, so don't take it personal. It's like there can be a lot of not wanting to be there if if your mother was a Sagittarius or had a Sagittarius moon, sun, or even rising sign, or mainly sun or moon, then, it's really about them. It's self-centered. It's about what they want, where they want to go, what's the next big thing, where's the next adventure, and it's a seeker. It's the seeking God, the seeking self, the seeking. So had I not moved into my ascendant, I would still be in that, it's all about me, and it's like what's best for me instead of looking out and what's best for everybody. And that's just one benefit of just moving into your soul's essence. It's also you're connecting to your soul, so that that you've tethered into your soul's essence in that astral, that the fourth dimension, right? That's where your soul resides. So that you've turned on that fourth DNA strand, because every dimension is a DNA strand. And so it's really an achievement marker as we're moving into these higher dimensional states of consciousness and embodiment, to actually connect with your soul, because then start getting soul memories start coming in, past life memories, off-planet memories, and connecting to your soul family and to those beings that are going to help guide you and strengthen your talents and your purpose in your right. for being. And go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. So it's purpose for being. And so the ascendant is really important, and this really helps you also tap back into that inner child, right? When I was little, I'd always play Barbies. I was very much about wanting to take care of, Skippers and all of Barbie's kids and friends and stuff. And so I was very much in my ascendant as a child. And if we're wanting to tap back into our heart, open our heart so that everything else in our life starts moving with grace and ease, because that's the most important thing, is to open up your heart so that everything else in your life can unfold naturally and beautifully. And that's your unconscious Venus. So that's the 88 days prior to being born, or your autopilot chart that you can get on geneticmatrix.com for free, by the way, just so you can get your human design print up for free if you're curious. And anyways, this unconscious Venus is that heart opening. And for us to cultivate our chi, talking about getting your chi, your kundalini, and strengthening it, this is about releasing and surrendering that which doesn't serve you anymore, and holding on to guilt, shame, resentment, abandonment, separation, and any of these disgruntled energies. Like, if you have an ex-husband, or even if you're co-parenting and you're like, oh, I can't stand that blimey whatever, it's like, if you're still in that mindset, then you have a closed heart. It's about absolute compassion for others, compassion for the self, and peace that leads you here. But in order to activate this, you can look on your unconscious Venus and see, what gate or codon or gene key, it's all the same thing, codon, gate, and gene key, or, even what degree your unconscious Venus is at, and you can start working and understanding like where it is that you fall into a victim of your own self-sabotage, a victim of your patterns, whether it's social cultural patterns or a genetic pattern, but it's a pattern and it's a learned behavior. And so when you can look at your learned behaviors and you can see how you're projecting your anger, your disgruntledness, or your pain, because hurt people, and that includes words, especially words. It's something that's very much overlooked in our society. It's like, oh yeah, physical abuse, but then what about, emotional abuse, which is like, oh, no big deal. But it's a really big trauma, and I know a lot of people in here can agree with that, right? So when we can look into our heart and, there's a code, we live in a quantum computer. That we live in a quantum computer. Code is everything. Language, words are obsolete. It is numbers that are everything. So numbers are universal. And numbers are what we use, mathematics, that in the numbers hold for our consciousness to understand geometry that's created. So every number creates a geometry. And so does every sound creates a geometry, but this is why words are spells and words are so important, and how words are so damaging. So, but what we want to look at here, before I get too far off topic and everything, right, is that we want to see how these codes, these numbers, right, these frequencies that we're attuned, like a radio station, AM, FM, or XM, AM radio being a shadow frequency. Nobody wants static. Nobody wants to hear the AM radio stations. It's usually a lot of just static. You can't really get anything in too clear, right? And then the things that you do, you may not understand. And then the FM radio, it's like, yeah, this is where we like to be. It's got good music. This is like a gift frequency. This is that fourth dimensional frequency band. And it's like, yeah, that feels really good. It's like you don't react so much. There's not a whole lot of disturbance or the commercials coming on, right? So, but every once in a while you get a commercial and you're like, I got to change the station. You get agitated. It's the same thing with like consciousness and people coming towards you. It's like when you're in your gift frequency of whatever codon or gate or gene key or degree, whatever your sign is at in that zodiac, whether it's your Earth, your Sun, your Venus, your Mars, your Mercury, your Neptune, Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, any of them, it's Neptune, and it's like one more. And you can look at these and see how they're tuned, and so you want to bring them to their fourth dimensional frequency. So planets have frequency bands as well, and so just like you have frequency bands. And so as long as you're riding in your gift frequency, where you're at the radio, you're in the FM radio stations, you're getting good jams, and occasionally you get a commercial, and all you got to do is change the radio station, and you get a new one without commercials, hopefully, right? And essentially, after you've listened to the radio so much, and you're like, yeah, they're playing the same stuff, I really need new, and I'm really tired of hearing the old commercials. So then you're like, I'm gonna pay for XM radio. And what I mean by paying for XM radio, and I'm using this metaphorically loosely, but what I mean for paying for XM radio is after you've been in your gift frequency and you've learned not to react to your reality, you've learned not to react to the people that are yelling at you and the situations that happen, like maybe the kids overflowed the water in the bathtub and started leaking into the house.
Right.
Things like that. You don't start coming in yelling and screaming, "You're grounded, how could you?" and all this like hoopla. That's AM radio.
All right.
That's AM radio.
Well, we're on AM and FM, one-day satellite. Kerri Ann Sanders, the Quirky Cosmo. When we come back, let's learn about karma. How can karma affect us? QuirkyCosmo.com is Kerri's website. We'll be back. Spaced Out Radio Hour 2 next. All right, we're clear.
Would you like for me to continue?
You can continue if you want. Not right now, but we're on break.
Well, can't they still hear us on the YouTube?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you tell them about it. I will quickly run my dogs outside, okay? I'm going. I'll be right back.
Perfect. Everybody want to hear this? How we move from the AM to the FM to the XM? All right. So just finishing off this train of thought. So the FM is whenever we're like, okay, so the tub's overflowing. It wasn't the best job. I hope you learned your lesson. Go get the towels and clean it up. We'll fix this. And so after you've rode out in that frequency field for long enough, then it starts to transcend within yourself, and you start to become in this XM radio where you've paid your dues, right? So not literally paying to have the higher states of frequency, but we're paying with our devotion and our practice. So that's just really how those frequency bands work. And so we can find all that within our astrology. We can see how our consciousness shows up, and we can start really putting a practical approach to, what are my programs? What was I imprinted with? What was the karma that I chose to experience so that I can feel it and heal it? Right. So I hope that you guys found something juicy in that. Yeah, there's all kinds of, that's another reason why you guys talk about seeing UFOs in the chats, and for sure. So the higher that you go in frequency, or your radio stations, right? The higher that you go in these radio stations frequency bands that you have within your body, the more that you're able to see. And so when you look at you're looking at, let me say, for example, with the planets, like they didn't recognize, they didn't see Pluto, they didn't see Neptune, they didn't see Uranus for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years until recently. Honestly, in the last 100, 200 years is whenever they discovered the planet, Pluto and Uranus and Neptune, because they're so far out. But that's because consciousness wasn't able to perceive it. Your eyes actually don't see. And this is scientifically proven. Your eyes don't see. They project. And so the higher you are in awareness and consciousness, then the more that you're able to perceive, the more that you're able to see, the more that you're able to project out into your reality. So if you're like, well, I want to be a millionaire, how do I do that? Well, then you're going to have to think like a millionaire, act like a millionaire, live like a millionaire in integrity and in the way in which you approach your life. You have to wake it, feel it, know it, and own it. For that energy to call into your life, you have to cultivate that. And so as we cultivate our worthiness and our ability to receive, and then we create a channel or a filter, if you will, or residual income or whatever it looks like. However, we create this streamline for this abundance or energy, because that's all money is, it's energy, to come into our lives. And so it's the same way. If you're able to raise your frequency, raise your consciousness, then you actually step into your unlimited abundance, because you realize that you are God consciousness, that you are source and presence, and that you are naturally abundant. And anything that says otherwise is a lie, is a fallacy. It's a limiting belief that somebody else may hold, and they're trying to project onto you and onto your way of life, because it's their thoughts and their belief systems, their limiting belief systems. So if you're able to rise in consciousness, which is working with your astrology, working and understanding how you are imprinted from the stars and how your imprint is showing up in your reality, and you cultivate this through, I just call it contemplative analysis, where contemplation is where you're sitting and you're able to take your awareness into your waking state. It's that walking meditation, if you will, and you can start transcending this ability and everything that you're seeing in your life and how it's playing out, and you can put it, okay, well, this is why X happened, and this is why Z showed up in my life, and it was because I was emanating, I was putting this frequency out, and they are just a reflection of that. It's about coming into awareness of all of your relationships with all people and all things and all places, and understanding why they play out for you.
Cool.
And how. Oh, you're back. Hey!
I am back. I do that every now and again.
So.
You having fun?
Yeah. I was just, going over more. Now I'm just kind of reading the live chat and seeing. I've done them quite sometimes too. I do mushrooms quite often. I microdose quite often.
You're
and
bad.
I think it's very healthy.
Bad.
They're so healthy. It's so healthy for
bad.
Your body. Mushrooms
so
are
bad.
proven to be good for you.
All right. Hold on one
bad.
second here, because we're coming back here in just a few seconds. Let's see here. Big thank you to Ben from UFO Garage and Cat Chaser for the awesome super chats. Thank you so much for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. That really means a lot. And thank you to everyone who has hit that thumbs up. Don't forget you can do some shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Grab some swag while you're there. It works. And let's start hour number 2 next, right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 on Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Tafeta. Tafeta is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. In our chat room tonight, one of our regulars, Peace World, having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Peace World. I hope you had just a fantastic day. Let's get to our guest, Kerri Ann Sanders, the Quirky Cosmo. QuirkyCosmo.com is her website, and we're going to bring her on back now. Kerri, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. You tricked me. I thought we were already live, and I started talking.
That's all right. That's all right. I had your mute.
Got me.
I had your mute down. No one could hear you. No one could hear you because I'm tricky that way. I'm tricky that way. Anyhow,
I was like, oh.
Let's.
Now I can talk.
Yes. Now you can do that. Now you can do that. Let's talk about karma. Karma.
Yes.
Can we switch that?
So moving into karma. I mean, this is a belief system that is I don't believe in the same sense as we carry karma from our past lives. I don't believe that at all. But it is a belief system for some people. But from the perspective in which I carry, it's about, so we have karma that we chose to come in on a soul level to heal from the collective. So it's taking our piece of the pie, I guess, if you will. And we're clearing it through our energetic presence, through our living, through our being, and through hopefully our self-love, our self-awareness, and transcending that in this life. So the karma that we get in this life is, again, it's from whenever you're born, your natal chart. That is your karma. That is what you're here to heal, to feel it, to heal it. And so, but there's also another karma that's carried within your genetics. And that's like poverty consciousness, and like, or it could be, even being prosperity consciousness. And it just depends on the bloodline that you're born into, right? It could be people, a karma or a samskara, is another word for it, can be like alcoholism. It can be, any kind of an addiction and things like that run in the family. These kind of karmas are genetic. These are programmed so hard, so deep into the lineage, because every, learned habits, we see our parents smoking and drinking and gambling or whatever it is, these little things here and there, or maybe it's just OCD, a really tidy house. And so this like sense of having everything organized and prioritized, or we can have like I said, addiction to smoking, or just be a smoker or whatever. This is a karma, and it's in the DNA, and it's passed down from the lineage, from the constant programming, everybody in the lineage doing it repetitively. And so that's another type of karma. Now, I know that there's a big belief that like, well, if you do something bad in this life, it's, you're going to reincarnate again, and you're going to have to your repentance for it. And that's just not a truth. Whenever we move on from this physical body, it's talked about in multiple esoteric teachings. Hence why I don't have that belief system anymore. It's been voided from my belief box. But anyways, the idea of that is it was used in religion to make somebody like to have fear, to be in fear and control. So what happens is that when we pass on from this life, all of our life, we go through a life review, and our soul, everything that wasn't beneficial, that wasn't helpful for the soul, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the resentment, all of that falls away, and it stays within the consciousness, the quantum field of the earth itself. It goes back into the collective, if you will. It gets recycled into the collective. And everything that was good moves on with your soul, and it goes back, and you can decide from there if you want to go back to source, or if you want to go and reincarnate on in another plane, in another dimension, or if you want to come back and play on earth. It's a choice. And then if your soul has certain lessons that it's going to learn. In order to grow, you have to have growth, right? So you've got to have experiences. And if you didn't learn from the experiences in that life that you just lived, then you have an opportunity, and you can reincarnate here. You can go into another plane or another dimension. We can call it the star system, or we can call it inner earth, or we can call it another universe, or another dimension, whatever you want to call it. Then we have that opportunity. You don't have the same opportunities as you do on the playing field of Earth. You're in a world of duality and material and manifestation. So it's not about instant manifestation in this field or in Earth as it has been, right? It's more about linearity and time and progression and duality. And so if we haven't learned those lessons, then we can come back to Earth, and we can reincarnate, and we can go through those same lessons. We'll have to create the energetic alignments that will sustain that as well, and we'll have to choose a lineage to be born into that would have those same genetic karmas that you would be living again to play out, to heal within the self. And so this is the idea of what karmas are from the not necessarily Hindu, but the esoteric teachings, the Corpus Christi and Gene Keys, and I mean, those are the two that offhand that you can look at and find this information from. But yeah, that's my view on karma. And yes, there is like an instant karma. You get what you give, and there is a truth to that. But it has to do with the magnetism of your body and how you manifest into this world, like how you manifest things, how you create things. And some people create from their emotions. Some people create from their thoughts. Some people create from an intuitive place. Some people allow, or where other people create for them. They allow for the world to show up through them for them. They don't go and create themselves. They just allow for the universe to unfold. But naturally, like the energy, the magnetism that you put out, like, so say that you're angry and you're running around the house and you're like, I'm having a hard day. And like all of a sudden you go to walk into your room and you nag your toe on the corner of the door because you were trying to turn in too fast and then you nagged your toe. And so that's that energy, the anger, the frustration that you put out. It created that energy and that experience that, of that's going to cause more anger and more frustration. And so we see this like in rage in a car, like whenever you're in a car, right, and you're on the freeway and you're in a hurry, you want to get somewhere, and it's like you're really angry and you're honking at people. This is going to cause more resistance to your manifestation, to you actually getting to where you want to go. So it's about realizing the energy that you're putting out, and if it's in harmony. So if you're like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful outside, I'm loving the butterflies, I love how the air feels, then you're calling, and your magnetism at that point is calling in more beauty, more sensuality and presence, And so you create more opportunity to be in that present moment, to be in in places that are warm and inviting and loving, and people will be in that energy too. So the field in which you emanate, that you put out, that your body radiates, and this is what you're going to cause back. So if you're yelling and screaming, you're going to get somebody that's yelling and screaming back at you. But if you're kind and your approach, and like you're emotionally intelligent in the way in which you approach things that you desire, if you want more money, if you want more friends, if you want more love, if you want more time to yourself, self-care is what I was going to say. If you want more self-care, and then you're giving that to yourself, then the world's going to do the same. Whatever you do for you, the universe, which is you in rhythm, you in verse means rhythm. So you in rhythm, you in movement is what you're going to generate more into your field. It's not necessarily sitting there and thinking happy, pretty thoughts. It's sitting there and saying, if I have a bad thought come through, and say, that isn't mine. I choose not to listen to that negativity, and I choose to be empowered, and I choose to be loving, and I love me, and these are not my truth anymore. And the more that we can cultivate that in our life, the more that we're able to receive that in our life, because it creates a repetition. The more you do it, the more it comes. So the more that we're putting love out in there and things that we want, vacation, you're going to be given opportunities to go places. You're going to be given the finances and the opportunity to go to these different places to visit, whether it's the financial freedom, or, it's adventures, or maybe it's friends, or you want a relationship. If you can cultivate a good relationship with yourself, a loving relationship with yourself, where you really don't need anybody, and you do everything really great on your own, then the universe is going to send you that relationship that's going to mirror that. Now, also, if you, on the other hand of that, if you feel needy, then you're going to get a relationship that is needy. It's whatever you put out, you're going to call back. So it's an equal to opposite exchange in how that works. So, and there's also relationships that are going to come in, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so divine. I needed this, but they're going to mirror to you what it is that you couldn't see in yourself. That doesn't have to be an interpersonal relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, or girlfriend, boyfriend. It doesn't have to be like that. It could just be like a partner or like a business partner, or like maybe you get a new coworker and they're reflecting in you things that you couldn't see. You could be super annoyed. I can't stand the way that they chicken peck on the keyboards and stuff, right? And so, but then you sit back and you're like, well, where about myself, do I feel annoyed in my own presence? Because you're just annoyed with something about them, and it's like, okay, it may not be the same thing, but it's like you're annoyed about something about you. Where are you not moving forward? What is lagging, what is dragging in your life that, you're reflecting or projecting onto them? Because, again, your eyes don't see, they're a projection. So of what you're going through internally. So the universe is going to send you exactly what you need whenever you need it. But we can also help in cultivating that.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because a lot of people say that if you send bad karma on someone, it could come back and harm you threefold or more. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Or is that just an old wives' tale?
Yeah, no, it's a good wise tale that needs to keep being told. No, it's very much, if you do bad onto others, and then bad will come back onto you. You get what you put out. It may not be through the same person. It may not be that person that you harmed that's going to come back and get some vengeance on you. No, it's going to show up in a different way. You're going to reap what thou shalt sow. You will get what you sow. Like, you really will. So it's about, being mindful, very much mindful about what you are saying, what you are doing, and why you're doing it. If it's not coming from a place of compassion and understanding, a place of betterment, bettering yourself and bettering others, then it really doesn't have a place. And it's just coming from a place of ego or vengeance, vendetta, or, anger, or somebody needs to do this. Somebody needs to take care of it. No, it's going to be taken care of. It's not your place to reprimand anybody. It's not, and I understand that even I got kids, I got an ex-husband, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. And I understand fully what I'm saying here. And, and I know what if parents, it's like, well, somebody's got to reprimand the kids. Yes. I'm not talking about don't keep your kids in check. No, definitely keep your kids in check. Otherwise, they're going to be crazy little boogers whenever they get older. But it's not about, doing it with a forceful and vengeful, like from that moment whenever you catch them or something happens. It's not about reacting. It's about coming from a place of like, how would I have really liked my parents to, or how would I have liked my boss to treat me? If I was the boss, this is how I would have handled the situation. Or if I was my own parent, this is how I would have handled the situation. I wouldn't have been slapped and, thrown around the house or beaten, for not scrubbing all of the comment off of the edges of the bathtub, right? Not having that kind of trauma imposed into a child, or even a spanking, like, here is the fear, hear me roar. It's not about putting fear into your child, or a fear into an employee, or fear into another person that's, testing your ego, testing your authority. It's not about putting fear into anybody. It's about letting them understand where your boundaries are and what their responsibilities are. And if they can't maintain these standards, then there's areas that need to be communicated with the person, with the persons. And so, yes, no, you reap what you sow. And, that's why they say, like, well, if you were a devil whenever you were a kid, then you can imagine you can only have one whenever you grow up, kind of thing. Now, that's not true. That's a falsity right there. Okay. That's being passed. That's a fable. Although all kids do challenge us, but that's a fable in itself.
Let's get to a question from Greco up in Toronto. He is asking, does being conscious woke actually change something in life that you can't get from the world now?
Yeah, it makes you aware of what's happening on a spiritual level. People are easy just to think that everything is so physical, so tangible, so material, when in truth it actually trickles down. The material tangible world's the last place that it actually shows up. So if you're looking at just the world around you, then you're just looking at what has already happened. You're looking at the past. And so from the past, you create the past. And so by looking into the spiritual realm, you are able to move into a centered place of your now moment, which is your future. And you can create from that now moment, which allows you to open up to a vast level of neurological networking that goes beyond just the mind, and it goes into the heart. And so the heart can create new realities. The heart can create an open doors and a different type of lifestyle that one would not have ever experienced had they not moved into a more conscious, aware state of being, of presence.
Interesting. Okay, so back to karma here momentarily. As we start to try and make sure that we're not wishing vengeful thoughts on our worst of enemies out there, how do you try and take that hatred and turn it into a positive?
Well, I can just, I'm going to drop a little thing here. My biological father's in prison for being a Chester, which is a child molester and rapist. And so the one way that I worked through this with that energy and that trauma, and if I can get through this being, in my situation that I had to deal with as a child and everything else that I went through as a teen and all that, if I can get through this, then I'm going to pass this world of wisdom on, is I don't press any vengeful or hate on him whatsoever. I know that it is being taken care of, and I only send love his way, that he can find love for himself, because hurt people. And it doesn't matter who did it to him, or if it did or didn't happen to him. It just matters that the way in which I experienced what happened to me, right? So from an angry or a vengeful, or they did this to me and I can't get over it, my mom or my dad or, my uncle or whatever it is, my neighbor, or they just totally took their trash and threw it on my yard. Pick every piece of trash up instead of arguing and yelling. Pick up every piece of trash and put it on the street and just say, look, I hope your day gets better. I send you love. Because hurt people, and sending more pain never made anybody change. Hurting somebody never made them change. It only made them push down their own suffering that they are already experiencing. And that only leads to disease and a very, very depressing life.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
The fact that you have the strength to get over and overcome something that horrific and that traumatizing through finding your own spirituality and love and healing. I mean, that's very commending. Very commending.
Thank you. And it took a lot of work, a lot of crying, and a lot of pain and writing and anger, but I took a lot of it out in dance and swimming in the pool. I go underneath and scream. Primal roar is one way to release it, and it's not about pushing our anger onto other people. It's about taking that anger and cultivating it. It's like your Mars energy. It can be passion or it can be war. And that war, as much as we see it externally, and it's all an internal job. So this war that you're creating with yourself, it's all internal. It's not like the person cares. If the person cared, they would have never done the painful thing to begin with. So your anger towards them is not doing you any good. You're just holding onto your own resentment, your own guilt, your own shame, your own vendettas. And so this pain and anger is just what causes that dis-ease in the body. And so when we can release that through some kind of creative project, it doesn't have to be painting, and it doesn't have to be writing a book. Your creative expression can be going and throwing hatchets, at trees, or going and shooting skeet out in, shooting disc or skeet, whatever you guys call it. It could be just releasing that anger. I know a lot of my girlfriends, they do jiu-jitsu or MMA. And it's like just to get the anger, kickboxing, just getting it out of the body. And I did this a lot through dance and screaming. And I do like to draw. I draw. I'm not a doodler, and I write. So, I mean, we all have and it's not like I'm going to go put my paintings up or anything like that. I'm just saying this is an outlet that I found that was helpful for me to move through my anger. And dance was a big one. Like I said, it was about movement and just moving the energy, the anger, even though we were like, well, I don't really feel any anger from my childhood. There's a lot of repression that happens because it's a coping mechanism. We have to get through, life, and life doesn't say, hey, oh, you had a bad childhood. Let me give you a tissue and walk you through life. It doesn't. No, it says, too bad, so sad, get in line.
and on that note, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. The Quirky Cosmo, Kerri Ann Sanders, her website, quirkycosmo.com. Finding our zen, our chi, our passion, and our soul cleansing tonight on Spaced Out Radio. So stay tuned. We got more when we come back. All right, we're clear.
Yay. I'm just reading the chats and seeing what's going on in here.
Yay.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up?
What do you think of my beard?
I like it. I like the beard. And I like the straight hair, too. I like how long it's gotten long.
All right, so if you had your choice, should I put in my Winter Blend Mighty Moose Beard Oil or my True North Blend?
I would say True North.
All right, that's what we're using right here. Mighty Moose. MightyMooseBeard.com.
That's literally I got the, what is that called? The pine trees, the air fresheners in my car, and it's the one that I have right now. It's called True North.
Mm-hmm. I'm just massaging it into my beard right now. Gary the Dutchman sponsoring us with MightyMooseBeard.com.
Let me see.
Just a little bit will do you.
I don't have.
Don't you see the picture? The video?
There you go.
There you go.
I can see. Well, yeah, I had to. Well, I gotta mute me.
Gary the Dutchman, MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019. It's not just for beards, ladies. It helps with split ends. It's all natural, no chemicals. That's why I use it in my hair as well. MightyMooseBeard.com.
Yeah.
Put my toque back on. There we go. Just like that.
That looks good. I had to mute myself while you talked because I was getting like double echoes when I was talking.
Mm.
You cut your hair.
I cut my hair back in August, and I donated it.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, it's still thick and voluptuous.
It is thick and voluptuous. See?
Yes.
It is thick and voluptuous.
Yeah.
I'm growing it again, though.
Well, keep growing it. It grows nice and thick. Oh, my God. I love how, silver it is. Looks good.
I can send you some
mine's
if you
coming
want.
in nice and silver. Yeah, I can put it into my hair because it's already looking that way.
No male pattern baldness here.
Thank goodness. We don't need no more of that. Mm-hmm. Not out there. You need to have a warm head.
I know.
Too cold.
Yeah, my hair's about, I've got about another 4 inches that I want to go. About another 4 inches.
Yep.
So by the end
of... put you to about your shoulder blades.
Yeah, that's where I want to go. And then I don't know about the beard yet. My beard just keeps growing. Just keeps growing.
It is quite manly, quite large.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that keeps the snow away from your face, so it keeps you warm too.
Yes, the other day we had a windstorm, and it actually, first time I was actually laughing because my beard was swaying in the wind. It was kind of fun.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, if you ever come out to Florida, you're gonna have to let me braid it. I'll have to do some like little dreads in there.
Sure.
And braid it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could totally do that.
Yeah. Oh, I can just see it. Like, have you ever seen in the Egyptian how it has like I think it's like Akhenaten, and he's got like the braided, like woven chin, chin hair. It's not the full beard. It's just,
it's like my buddy Bumblefoot. He's got his goatee comes down to like his chest, and he's got it all braided up with like tinsel strewn in there and everything. It's awesome.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, we definitely
man.
use something like that. I have tinsel here. I mean, I didn't get rid of that from my day spa, so.
All right.
Definitely.
There we go.
Doing it.
There we go. But you got to take me fishing. I want to go fishing for snakeheads.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, Dave. I was out on so Saturday night we did a shaman journey out on the island, and we had a paddleboard out to the island. Oh my goodness. I've never seen these things, the priosomes or whatever they're called. I'm probably slaughtering this word, but priosomes. And they are known as like the unicorns of the sea. They look like snake condoms.
Ew.
They're just like little snakes that look like floating condoms, but they're not. They're priosomes. They're harmless. Right, but it was like thousands of them around the island after the water dropped during sunset. It's like we're surrounded by thousands of snake condoms. And I was
Hold
like,
on, my friend.
So
Hold on, my friend. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. Dave Scott is my name. Thawing out up here in northern British Columbia. We thank you each for tuning us on in. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Remember, all of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the Quirky Cosmo, Kerri Ann Sanders, all the way down in Florida. She wants to braid my beard, people. She wants to braid my beard and put tinsel in it, and I'm actually considering this. What the hell? Why not? Kerri, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. I'm going to do it. You come out here, I'm doing it.
All right.
It's going to happen.
All right.
What colors do you think we should definitely add? I think in the gold and like a blue. I think gold and blue would be like a really cool
I think
mixture.
a nice copper. Nice copper come.
Ooh.
You know?
You like copper?
I like copper.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll pick up a copper color then.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Copper, some red, some dark blue.
I think all right, everybody give a thumbs up if we think we should do the copper and blue. I think it sounds good, actually, copper and blue. Thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up if you think that we should do this.
All right. We were talking about karma beforehand and how it can affect people. You know, there's also a lot of people walking around, never mind today's COVID days or loss of jobs or, you know, wondering where that next paycheck or income is coming from. But there's a lot of people even previous to that had been kind of looking around, and they walk around with a black cloud over top of them. Everything always goes wrong. It's 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. How do we break that cycle for a lot of people?
That has a lot to do with those thoughts, those 90,000 thoughts that we repeat over and over and over again in our head. So this is when we can get out of that cloud, it is about pulling ourselves, taking a moment. You know, a lot of the times as being a parent, I'll run away into a bathroom and lock the door because this is the only place that I can go and hide. By the way, the door has to be locked because the kids will just walk in. So we go and we run away. Like we go sit in a car, we go take a drive, we go and put ourselves into our room or our sacred space, whatever it is, outside in nature. So it's about finding one of these places and taking yourself to it and just sitting there and breathing. sitting and breathing, and I know that there is a lot that can weigh us down, but when we can pull out of everything that's going on, out of that forward momentum, and if we can stop that forward momentum and just be in our breath, be in our moment, whether that's, I personally like to go to the park and go get on a swing, and I just like to swing, and I'll just be in my now moment and swing, and I just let all of these fears and frustrations and worries and, ifs, ands, whats, and buts leave, because I can just be in that moment, or whether it's fishing or, snowboarding or skiing or whatever it is, like just put yourself by yourself out in nature or in a place that you feel comforted in, and then you can just sit there and remind yourself that, 1, you're alive. 2, there's always an open door. We just have to be willing to look for the door. We have to be willing to look around us and see where can I find something that I'm happy for? Where can I take, a moment for gratitude, and to shift that gray cloud, that dark cloud, whether it's depression or whatever is showing up in your life, even melancholy or stagnation in your life. Well, it's not moving, nothing's happening. Being even in that, it's about coming back into you, and it's like, but you're happening, you're always happening until you're not. And so if we can find that gratitude for just being alive, making it through everything that you have made it through, it's your challenges, your struggles that you've already gone through, your blessings, the happy moments. We can revel in the happiness that has come from our life. There's always at least one good thing that you've experienced in your life that you can look at and go, yeah, you know what, that was really good. Whether that was like you graduated from high school and got your diploma, you did it, right? Or maybe it was something that you did while you were in high school. It's like, yeah, I did that. So we can always find a good memory to hold and just to feel good, to help ourselves feel good. Or you can call a friend even and be like, hey, do you have time? I can come over, or maybe you can just listen to me. I'm kind of dealing with some stuff, and I'm really worried, and maybe you can hold some space for me and just while I kind of vent my stuff out, or write it out. However it looks for you, it's about moving through that dark cloud by being grateful for what you do have.
Being grateful is tough for a lot of us, though, because we always tend to concentrate on the negative. How do you change that negative way of thinking?
That's a constant, that's repetition. Just like you didn't know how to write your name, you didn't know how to spell words when you were little, but through progressive, repetition, you integrated learning how to write, learning how to read, learning how to spell. So it's the same thing. It's like you're reprogramming the mind. So through little action steps, for one way, I would recommend is getting, colorful paper. I choose to use color. Color is associated with the chakras, and that helps us to associate with where our emotions are. The colors that we wear, typically the energies that we feel, and black is the void, which is an infinite amount of possibility and creativity, so it's not a negative thing. And white is about purity and being that in that pure essence of your presence. So these two colors I don't really reference too much, but I'm talking about like the rainbows and the blues and the greens and all that. So getting construction paper and a Sharpie, preferably not the same color Sharpie that the construction paper is, and cutting them out to your favorite shape. I cut mine out into hearts, and putting words like you can or I can on there. I can, I will, I am, I have. Just simple little affirmations, and it'll catch your eye. Like say you're walking by the door and you have like an orange heart and it says I can, and it'll make you think for 1 minute, I can. What can I do? I can make today a positive day. I can change my thoughts. So the more that we're able to implement little things like that, just little subtleties, like it doesn't mean that you have to sit there and you have to listen to 8 hours of affirmations and meditations. You can play that while you go to bed, and that's really good to play affirmations while you go to sleep from a channel that you trust. And that while you're in your theta state, when you sleep, your brain will reprogram, and that's one way to do it. So you can go through with meditation and hypnosis is basically what it is. Affirmations and hypnosis at night. Whenever you go to sleep, just turn it on your phone, put your earbuds in, and fall asleep to the affirmations. And that after 21 days, 30 days, 90 days, whatever it is, the consistency is key. So the longer you do it, the better your world will start coming, because the subconscious is what you have to reprogram. It's the subconscious that continuously thinks these negative thoughts, these patterns that keep us in these daunting states, right? So the hypnosis is one way, and then also just by, like I said, with the construction paper and putting little words of affirmations, maybe even choosing a phrase, a mantra for the month, to keep affirming, I am abundant, or I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am whole, which is really common to use, but I am abundant, or I am prosperous. I am flowing in the infinite abundance of source. It's just all of these mantras you can add to your life, or you can sing them into a ditty, like I can do it, you can do it too, together, forever, we got it through and through. So things like this. I've got kids. Don't judge.
I'm not going to lie. That scared me. That scared me right there.
I got kids, man. And I'm like a little Dr. Seuss over here in my house, trying to reprogram us all into positivity as much as I can. And so that's another thing. You can make it into a song. You make it fun. You invite your whole family to join you in this too. Like, sit down and like, hey, look, we're all like say mom or dad, or like if it's your spouse, it'd be like, hey, look, I'm really working through things, and I would like for my world to show up better. So, if you can help, like with, positive, just more loving words of affirmation. Love language has a lot to do with your love language too. So reprogramming through hypnosis, through, sleep state, and through repetitive action, affirmations, mantras, whatever you want to call it, that really helps to integrate in. And then also changing your habits. So what I like to suggest to my clients is, on the new moon, we adopt a new thing that we'd like to do, or we add to something that we already like to do. Add more time to your routine in the morning, to give yourself more time to do things that you like, taking yourself on a date, things like that. Or we can also just create something new for ourselves. Like, say that we never went on a date, but took ourselves on a date. So start taking yourself out to restaurant for lunch, or to the beach, or to, going out to the forest, spending more quality time with yourself, right? So that's another way to cultivate that energy. And so your right actions. And so on the new moon, it's always good just to bring something into your life, into your routine, into your day that makes you feel good. Like if it's sun gazing, or, just sunbathing even, or if it's, listening to music by yourself, or making music, whatever it is. But then there's the other side to that is, like, you can also, on the full moon, is we take out one thing that isn't serving us. So twice a month we'd be adding one thing and subtracting one thing, which is like a lot of times when you're, you go get new clothes, but you get rid of old clothes first, and then you go get a new wardrobe, right? You get a couple new outfits and you put them in your closet. It's the same thing. So new moon, you get new clothes, and full moon, we get rid of an outfit. So full moon, it's like we can get rid of a habit. Maybe it's saying the word hate. like something that I've been working with in my home with my children and their mouth. You know, and it's a learned behavior from, you know, a lot of the programming from the stuff that they were watching on YouTube prior to me dismantling that ability that they had. So it's a lot about like not using that word and refraining from it. So we take that word out of the house, and whenever it's used, you know, we go put a tally mark up on the fridge. And if you get, you know, 5 tally marks that week, then you don't get your, like, whether it's the sweet treat, you don't get the allowance or the sweet treat, or you don't get the benefit. So if you're not letting go of that habit, then you're not going to get the reward, basically. And for adults, this is like, okay, so if you don't let go of that habit, then you're not going to reap the reward of not having that tendency or that habit, or like, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm sorry, I did that. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. Like, you have nothing to be sorry about unless you like ran into somebody's car. And even at that point, I'm sure you didn't mean to. Of course, you can apologize for it happening, and that's a situation, yes. But like, there's people that, you know, they're bagging your groceries. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to double bag that. Like, it's okay, man. 1 bag is good. You know, it's not a big deal. Or it's like, oh, you know, just that. There's a lot of people that are, you know, conditioned from their trauma to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So these are things that we can take out of our life, like saying I'm sorry all the time, or always needing to be the one that does everything, like to give up control, to let go of control. Like, you don't always need to be the one that does the dishes, or you don't always need to be the one that takes out the trash, or you know, unless you're living by yourself, then that's a different story, right? But I'm just trying to give an example of like always carrying the weight of everything, right? So we can surrender some control in our life. Like, we can relax and not do the dishes every night. We can give ourselves freedom and to not have to have micromanaging in our life, or control, or whatever it is, or needing to always speak, you know, like people will just speak and it's not like there's anything, what they're saying is not necessarily needing to be heard, but since they're programmed to always speak, you know, maybe speaking out of their context for the week. Like, how could you do without speaking for 2 days or 3 days? Like, give yourself a couple of days of silence. If it's silence from speaking, you're speaking with words, or if it's just silence from social media, even taking social media breaks, things like this. So this really helps to reprogram the mind, the body, and, you know, your spirit. Allows spirit to come in more, and you to connect more with who you really are, just by eliminating clutter or unnecessary energy, or letting go of control. So things like that really help free your body and free that mind, so that you can just be.
Just be. That is the big thing. And I like John's comment here in the chat room. He is saying 2 things this method requires. Number 1, you must be convinced you deserve to be happy. Number 2, you must be convinced that being happy after something bad happens is not endorsing or encouraging the bad thing.
You don't have to I appreciate the response, John. Thank you. You don't actually have to convince yourself that you could be happy. Happiness is a natural state. It's unhappiness and sadness and all that's actually being pressed into you. That's unnatural. Your natural state is happy. For the most part, we go through phases of ebb and flow of melancholy and happiness, but it's not like you need to be convinced that you should be happy or you're allowed to be happy. You can be happy just by being alive. You should very much so be happy that you are alive, because your life means something. You wouldn't be here if it didn't. You weren't just some accident, no matter how much that might have been put into your programming. You're not an accident. You came here by choice, and you have a purpose. And that purpose is to be happy. That purpose is to be to be excited about who you choose to be. Now, if you're choosing to not be your best self, or the best version of you that you can be in that moment, then that's your choice to stay in the lack, and consciousness, and in the sad and the desperate energy. And that's also a self-sabotage energy that shows up, because when we're happy, then we know there could be a programming of, well, when I'm happy, bad things happen. That's a program. That's a belief system that you've adopted through your social cultural programming as well. And that's not really a truth. So that's another thing that would need to be looked at. But there's nothing that you have to convince yourself to be happy. And now if something did happen that was tragic in your life, there's tragedy every day. There's tragedy all over the world. And there's tragedy in our lives, but it doesn't mean that your life is over, and it doesn't mean that you have to be happy as soon as the tragedy happens. You're allowed to have emotions, and you can go into a sense of mourning the person's physical presence, or with the loss of whatever it is. But at the same time, you can also rejoice in that. There's a polarity to it. The rejoicing is seeing the beauty that's going to come, seeing the beauty that did come from the person, from the experience, from the place that you visit. Maybe it burnt down and it's gone now, but you have these beautiful memories that came from that. And so there's an honoring and a celebration that can be seen from the person, or like I just said, the place of the experience.
Makes sense. We have about 3 minutes to go before, or 4 minutes to go before we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. Kerri Ann Sanders, the Quirky Cosmo, is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Now, this all entails self-healing, which we all have the body, mind, and soul to do, according to everyone who's, got into their Zen and their own chi. So for you, how does self-healing start?
With awareness, with understanding what is hurt and what needs to be healed, and for me, there's a map. Like I said, there's getting your astrology chart, and getting your gene keys, and seeing where these wounds are, seeing where the programming is, and then looking back at your childhood, if you can remember your childhood, or your teens, or your young adolescents, young adults, 15 to 21 age, but you can see the imprinting. You can see how, you're like, I don't want to be like my mother. I don't want to be like my father, or my mom did this, or my dad did that, or my uncle, like whoever you're raised around, whoever, you were influenced by the most, whether it was your friends or your cousins, aunties, uncles, all that, it's looking at that and saying, okay, so where in my life am I being somebody else's image, and where am I being my image? And that's a way to start, is to look and say that, whose image am I?
What if we don't like the image that we perceive ourselves to be, because we're overweight, or we we have too much facial hair, or our hair is gray, or
then we have
six toes or webbed feet. I don't know.
Oh, well, webbed feet. Well, then you got to cultivate self-love and see that your authenticity showed up in a physical manner, and that makes you unique. And it's not that you should be judged. Like an elephant doesn't get judged for, like Dumbo, for example. He was judged for his giant ears, right? But he could fly, so say you have webbed feet, then you can swim really fast, right? So you're able to paddle faster with your feet. And, you got to have special sandals made, right? So you're just slip-on sandals. So you can see yourself as being unique, and that your uniqueness came in a physical manner, so that you can show the world, and that you can love yourself through your uniqueness and through that physical presence, right? And if it's the weight, then if you decide that you want to lose weight because that's your choice, not because somebody has a social idea of what healthy, or what weight you should be, then it's your choice to take right action, whether it's your diet or exercise or both, then and make that change in your life. But that's a choice. Weight, that's a fickle topic, because personally, I'm not a big believer that everybody should look like a Victoria model. I don't believe that at all. I think that we're all built in beautiful sizes, and not one size fits all. And it's not, for me, it's, if you're happy with who you are, and what you look like, then that's all that matters. Again, that's owning your authenticity and how that shows up for you. So that is my perspective with it.
Well, I didn't say I was beautiful or not beautiful.
You're beautiful.
I am gorgeous. Gorgeous.
You are gorgeous.
I am beautiful in every single way. Words can't bring me down. There we go.
Oh, I love that. No, it's a good song.
I know, it is a good song. I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are at that time where we got to go to break at the top of the hour. 2 hours down already. 2 hours down with you. We got you for another 30 minutes here, Kerri Ann Sanders, a.k.a. the Quirky Cosmo. We're having a good time. And when we come back, we'll take audience questions in our chat rooms and so much more. Hour 3, Kerri Ann Sanders, first half hour. Then we're going to get to the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
I'm going to step away for a moment as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
4
not a
million
problem.
Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
All right,
We're
I'm
adding
back.
to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, YouTube. What's going on? We having a good time? Let's go there. Hello. I heard you giggle.
Yeah. I was watching you. Well, I can't listen to you and watch you at the same time.
Yeah.
So I got to push pause, and then I can just watch the chat.
There you go. As I have water go down the wrong way. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there we go. We're fine now. Brandon Terry, welcome to our chat room.
And where's everybody at from out here? I'm seeing a ton of people in the chat. Where's everybody at?
Oh, they're spread out around the world. Spread out around the world.
5 a.m. here in Florida.
I know.
People are partying like it's a Friday, man. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. It's like they're addicted to
loaded.
this show or something. I don't know. Let's see here.
I think so.
Hi, Jeff Steve
Hey.
Garvey.
Hi, Grandmaster. California. I'm a native.
A polar eclipse is in Florida. Austria for Chrismo.
Austria. Oh, my gosh. Beautiful.
Yeah. So we've got about 20 seconds. Thank you to UFO Garage Ben and Cat Chaser for the awesome super chats. Hi, TH. How you doing? Katie A is in BC, where I am. She's south of me. Denali Princess is in Texas. Hold on. Here we go with the second or the third hour.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. As my name is Dave Scott, I'm the guy behind the microphone, and we're glad to have each and every one of you tuning us on in. Thank you to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Dixis. Dixis is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers. As the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. The Quirky Cosmo is back. We got her till the bottom of the hour. Kerri Ann Sanders, her website, quirkycosmo.com. We're getting into everything all Zen and Chi. Kerri, welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, no problem.
I'm over here blowing up the chats and talking to people on the YouTube. I hope you guys all go over to his YouTube channel and check out Spaced Out Radio and thumbs up this beautiful, beautiful grizzly that we have out here in the BC mountain area hosting me. So thank you, Dave, for hosting me. But these are fun people. Oh my gosh, this chat is like going crazy. I love it.
Oh, it is kind of a little interesting out there. It really is. And in our other chat room on Spreaker, we got Aussie Steve from Australia. He's in Sydney. Fantastic hair on him. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like a group of people. They're hilarious. I'm just reading the stuff. I got to put the phone down. It's so funny. I love it though.
It is
beautiful to have the community. See, this is where my community started. I know you haven't really asked me a question yet or anything, but we were talking earlier in the show, and we're like, about support and family supporting you. Like, I left and I moved to a state that I didn't know but one person that lived an hour north of me. So, I was deep into astrology and gene keys and expanding my awareness into the spiritual realm, getting to know my inner chi, right? Inner chi, boom, boom, boom. Lame joke. But anyway, so I was expanding, but my family started developing in the YouTube chat, to be honest. And I'm actually best friends with she's my best friend, and she's in Germany, and we met in an astrologer's YouTube channel. And I've actually met some of my favorite people that through YouTube, like interacting with me on my YouTube channel, when I first started out, and even now, but like even in other people's our astrologers chat rooms, we'd follow the same people, like, oh, I saw you in there. And, we're like, oh, you live here in Florida, and we meet up, or like somebody like flew in from Texas, and, and she flew into South Florida, and I drove down to South Florida, and I met her there, and we had like a big soul family meeting down there. And so, I mean, my family is, and I was telling my little sister this today, I was like, my family is like my soul family. It's the people that I have connected with online, on social media, through my Instagram, through YouTube, and just created these bonds because of our commonality, not because of our bloodline or because of our locations, but because our morals, our beliefs, and like things like these, they're hilarious. I'm reading these chats. You guys, like, you talk to each other like you know each other, because you do. And it's not because you know each other in a physical way. It's non-physical. It's a soul essence level. And so it's so beautiful to see these bonds like being created from this platform. So you have your family. You have so much support in just you being goofy, silly you. And I just want people to know that. And not to be afraid to reach out. And I'm not saying go on a blind date with a person that you just met on Instagram or YouTube. No, be smart about it. But like, get to know the people, create the groups, create the social networking, and don't be afraid to be you behind a computer and in person. Like that's. And if the people don't accept you, then they're not your people. Nachos. The nachos. They cheesy nachos.
I have no idea where that just went, but it sounded really good. Cheesy
nachos.
It sounded really, really good.
I'm going to tell you this. When we get off this phone, I'm going to go and get me something guacamole and chips. When we're done.
Yes.
I'm having an early breakfast.
Well, at least you're not eating breakfast foods for dinner. That's the main thing.
Hey, what is wrong with breakfast foods for dinner? That's the best.
Everything. They're titled breakfast foods for a reason.
No. See, they messed up. It's called break fast. And for some reason, they called it breakfast.
Not my problem. Not my problem. All right. Moving on before we get into another debate here over breakfast foods.
Food.
You're nothing but trouble. Nothing but trouble. All right.
I am.
Kerri Ann Sanders is our guest tonight. This is why we call her the Quirky Cosmo. Quirky Cosmo. Oh, my God. Quirky. All right. Let's get into some numerology. What do the numbers actually mean?
Oh, well, there's so many different meanings for each one of them, but you want to bring everything down to a single digit. So 1 through 9 is what you're wanting to focus on. And so, like, I love what I like to do for people is to think of your address. So think of your house and the address that it is. You don't have to put it in the chat. Please, nobody put your anything in the chat about your address. But think about your number, and I want you to add it up to the single digits. So, like, if you had the address of 23, right? So then it's 2 plus 3, and that equals a 5. So you have the energies of 2, 3, and 5. So, and each one of these would have its own meaning. Like 2 is that energy of duality, and also it has to do with like the houses. And if it's a house or if it's a person, whatever it is, right? And so, anyways, the energy, if you had like a 2, like I said, it's that duality, it's balance, it's about the diplomacy and coming in and realizing polarity and where you are and what has polarity and what you're creating this polarity. It's a contrast, right? And so it's about finding diplomacy and partnership or balance, if you will, within that number. So if your house carries it, your house has the energy of a 2, so you're going to need to have balance. You're going to, it calls in partnership and it teaches you how to be in a diplomatic state, emotional, mental diplomacy with self and others. It also teaches you the power of contrast and the power of polarity. So that's 2. I guess I'll go to 1. So 1 is about the self, and it's about independence or the will of the self, and about individuality and new beginnings. It's a fresh start. 1s are the beginning. It's also the masculine energy. It's the 1. So the 1 is the masculine. 0 would be the feminine, the void. So when you have the number 10, you're going to break it down to a 1, but in truth, the 0 represents the feminine principle. So 0 is that feminine principle, and it's eternity, it's a circle, it's a cycle of life, it's infinite possibilities. And 1 is that masculine, it's the self, it's new beginnings, it's individuality. Again, 2 is the polarity and balance, partnership, diplomacy. 3 is about creativity. It's the Trinity. It's that Holy Trinity energy. So it's the Mother, the Father, and the Holy Spirit cultivation. So 1, 2, and 3 are really, really, really strong energies as themselves. And so 3 is also about like communication and self-expression. Could be about siblings and about groups or networking and fun, right? But really about self-creation and manifestation and how we express. Manifestation is just bringing any thought or any thought into form, whether the form is through voice or the form is through movement or form is through, creation of an art or some sort. 4 is about, the earth, it's a square. Square has 4 corners. It's also about the cardinal, earth, air, fire, water, and earth, air, fire, and water. So it's the elements of earth. So it's about foundations, and it's about the material world, and it teaches us how to become sovereign in ourselves, to create our own government and our own structures, right? And so 5 is about adventure, change, things coming fast. So if you get like the 5 of Swords, you've got, you've got change coming in. It's going to come through like a message and sharp, fast, quick, right? So the 5 is about adventure and like change, challenge, taking risk, self-freedom. It also can be about conflict. There could be conflict depending on, like, if you did have a 5 of Swords, could mean conflict. But it would be like you could also think of it as it could be an internal conflict. It's not always going to come external unless, it's something that you're not able to see, then it'll manifest in your reality so that you can see it. Like it's a mirroring, like maybe it'll come through a person. another person that causes conflict, and it's like a mirror for you to see the conflict that is within you, because everything that's within you, you create externally. So if your number was the 23, and then it equals a 5, so you're carrying the energy of balance, partnership, diplomacy, and 3 is that creativity, communication, self-expression, and adventure, change, and innovation, freedom. And so it's like, if that's your house number, then that's it. Ultimately the house equals a 5. So the ultimate energy is about finding that risk and creating that change and that freedom for the self to move out of the conflict through self-innovation and adventure within your own life, which is change. So, but the energies that get you there would be the 2 and the 3. So moving into what the 6 in numerology means, it's about harmony. So 6 is a Venus number. And Venus is, obviously we know, she's a goddess of beauty and justice and balance and dance and music and harmony. And so 6 is about harmony and community. It's about love and healing and service. Service to healing the self, service to healing others. It's about bringing people in. It's about domestication, about being domesticated, like in your home being like your castle, and keeping clean. And your home is not just your house that you live in. Your home is your body. Your house is a representation of your body. So if your house is dirty, your house that you live in is dirty, then there's, if it's just a dirty room or 2, then I'm not talking about that. But if your house is like filthy, then it's really showing that in the body can be really filthy, and that could be some place of service. So service to humanity is always service to the self, to healing the self. So 6 is big in healing, so self-healing, and that would be service to the collective. 7 is like that growth, the spiritual growth. 7 is the mystic. It's the number of the mystic. So when we look here at the seven C's, the 7 wonders, the 7 chakras, it's about material, it's about being in the world, it's about spirituality, intellect, and growth, self-solitude. It is the number of metaphysics. And this is, again, about the mystic or the alchemist even. So a spiritual alchemist, right? And about being able to alchemize your emotional, mental bodies. It's also, if you have like a 7, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but if you have a 7, your house equals a 7, then you're going to need to have all elements at all times running in your house. A mystic means that you bring all of the mysteries to life. And so honoring the elements of life, earth, air, fire, water, and ether. So having a water feature in your house, or an earth feature, plants, or a fire feature, which would be like lighting incense or lighting candles or something like that. Having these elements present in your home will create balance in the home and balance in you. So you have a 7 is your life path number. You can look into numerology, which your life path, your destiny number, all these things. You can look at this. 8 is about, it's an infinite flow, that infinite cycle of energy that moves through us, and this fluidity, right? So 8 is a very fluid number. And so it's about manifestation. It holds, it's about wealth, and the energy can be about wealth and prosperity, abundance, goals, self like authority and boundaries, I guess, if you will. Because when you can have self-boundaries, or devotion is what we call it in the spiritual communities, it's about devotion, not necessarily boundaries keeping people away from you, but having devotional practice, and that's like self-authority and leadership. These are things that you could look for in an 8. And then if you have 9, if everything equals down to a 9, then this is the divine. 9 is divine. It's about ending cycles. And it's about what you've learned from everything that you gained through that cycle, whether it was a relationship cycle or it was, growth in your own developmental process, right? So 9 represents closure. It's a completion energy. It's done. It turns, after 9 we go to 10, which 10 reverts back to the 1. So this is about wisdom and that what we've gained from, again, like I said a minute ago, all the lessons. And this is also the humanitarian, the service to humanity. This is, I like to think of the 9 as the compassion. It is the number of compassion. It is the divine frequency. So those are what you would want to, like, I mean, you can go to Google, you can screenshot, you can re-listen to the radio and hear this over again, but, you know, you're always going to break your numerology down to a single digit. Now, you can, the way that I explained in the beginning with the 2, 3, and the 5 is because you're always going to have, like, say that it's, you know, a 2-digit number, it's a 14. It's the number, why do I keep picking 5? There must be a big change coming. I keep choosing numbers that equal 5. Big change. Like I said, I'm going through a lot of change right now as it is. But the 1 has its own energy. So it's an energy of the 1, an energy of the 4, and then the energy of 5. So, but let's do different, other than 5 over these 5. So let's do 1, 4, and yeah, no, I did that again. So 1 and 5, we'll do 6. So no, I already do 5. Like we talked 5 a lot though. So 1, 6, yeah, 1 and 6 equals 7. So do 1 and 6 and equals a 7. You're always going to break that down, but you'll understand that the 1 is the energy that's pioneering it, that's moving it through. It's the self. So we need to know that the self is moving this. It's self-perpetuated. It's a cleansing, moving, initiated will I am in presence movement. And then the 6 is about that harmony. So it's about me being in harmony, me moving into harmony. And through my self-love, my self-healing, and my service to others, service to self, and ultimately coming out as the 7, which is the spiritual growth, the intellect, the personal growth, and by being in solitude, right? So by being in that self-love, self-healing, in that harmony, that inner harmony, that is how we can really see how these numbers play out. Now, if it's your house, you know, your house numbers, your house is going to carry these energies. And if it's your license plate, then your car is going to carry it. Like, I love looking at license plates. Like just today, actually, I saw a car and its license plate number equal to 10, which is a 1, and it's the numbers equal to 10, and then it had the letters Ray, R-A-Y, like the Ray, and then I was like, oh, Ray, the first Ray, and the first Ray is will and power, and the car and the first Ray's color is red, and so the car was red. I was like, look how crazy enough that is. It's the license plate say, you know, 1, first ray, basically, and the first ray is red. I was like, how beautiful, because we live in a quantum computer. We live in a world of codes and of numbers. Numbers are our universal language here in our universe, and so we speak through code, through these frequencies that create geometry that we cannot necessarily see until it's put into a perspective in which our human senses can see it, whether it's visual through the vibration of sand on a vibration plate or a speaker even, or if it's with light and you know, light optics, or, you know, with drawing it out. We don't really, you know, mapping out with the dots and, you know, like we do in geometry. So we speak in code and numbers. So this is how we could also look at our natal chart, and we can see like, oh, well, I've got my sun sign at 4 degrees of Sagittarius. So not only am I dealing with, you know, the specific gene key or code, consciousness code that's, you know, takes over where the 4 degrees of Sagittarius is at in the natal chart, but I can also look and see, okay, so 4. So I'm dealing here with a personality that's going to go through foundations and material reality, problem solving, being pragmatic, being a fixer, being, you know, involving all elements into my life, earth, air, fire, water, and ether, communication, you know, family relationships, and emotional, and the mental, the psychological development, right? Earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And each one of those elements represent, you know, an aspect of the human psyche at that too. So we can see that 4 would be leading, you know, this is the path of a teacher, you know, so we can also look at how the 4 shows up in personality, not only in your home and in your life as like an aspect or an attribute, But again, it's like how it plays out in the persona and in the soul's essence as well. So, and in your natal chart. So we can look at our kids and we can see how their name adds up. That's that life path right there. Your first, middle, and last name, and if you have any suffixes or anything like that, you take all of the letters, and each letter has a number, and then you can go onto Google and you can search your numerology for your name too, and you'll pull up calculators. There's calculators that'll do this for you. You don't have to do it all by hand. If you'd like to,
we got 30 seconds, my friend. Totally.
Well, perfect. Well, there you go.
Totally flown on by with great advice.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Me either. Do us a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your work.
Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook at Quirky Cosmo, or you can go to my website at quirkycosmo.com. It is down. My website is down for the next 48 hours while I'm uploading. I'm uploading some stuff onto my website right now. So, but it's still there, and you guys can access it. So it's quirkycosmo.com, or you guys can go to my Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And I would love to have you and connect with you on a soul family level.
Much love, my friend. We really do appreciate it. Hold on one second. Kerri Ann Sanders of Quirky Cosmo hanging out with us tonight. Great show, as per usual. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Day. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Rock and roll. Great show. Great show.
All right.
You did well. You did well.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have fun?
Oh, yay. Yeah, no, I had fun. I did. I was like, I was just flowing.
You were flowing. I didn't want to interrupt.
Faster.
I did not want to interrupt. We had, as Jeff in the chat room says, the speed limit of woo undetermined as of yet.
We're good. No, it was fun. You got a good group of people here that are loving you, so that's amazing. And I'm glad, because I remember when you started this. That's really good. You've grown.
Yes.
Beautifully. 10,000 fucking people. That's amazing.
I know, and now you can swear.
Sorry. I already did.
I know. I know. I'm so happy. So happy. But thank you, my friend. We'll do it again soon, okay?
All right. I love you, Dave.
Love you too.
Enjoy the night.
You take care, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Isn't she awesome? Just full of energy. Full of energy. Absolutely a fan. Absolutely a fan. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We got the news coming up next. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff as I try and find my Twitter thought of the Dave. There we go. Bobby Cheesy, what's happening? Stu effing Gerson. Right there. How are you? Good to have you here. Some good woo there, Clam. Good, solid woo. My neck is so sore. Anybody want to come to the studio and give me a neck rub while I do this next half hour? My neck is killing me. Oh, we got some fun stories here tonight, Josh. Fun stories coming up. Hey, thank you, Jacques Strap, for that super chat. Really do appreciate it. No, I've never had a tiramisu flavored Oreo. Sounds delicious. Rolo, come on over. Come on over. Don't knock. Just walk right into the studio. Never mind the on-air light. Make that stuff happen. And if you can crack my neck, you'll get a tip. Don't break it. Just crack it. Yeah, Kerri Ann has amazing energy. I just love her. I think the world of her. I do. There are certain guests that you want to meet. I want to meet her. Hey, thanks, Terrible Times. I had fun with Duke. Total fun with Duke. He's a great dude. Made it easy. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, the news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the justice. Yes. Amityville horror killer Ronald DeFeo Jr., who spread terror throughout Long Island and beyond by slaughtering his parents and 4 siblings back in 1974, has died, according to state officials. DeFeo, whose murderous spree served as the inspiration behind the Amityville horror book and movie franchise, died Friday while serving a 25 years to life sentence at Sullivan Correctional Facility in Fallsburg, New York. According to the State Department of Corrections, he was 69 years old. The convicted murderer was transferred to Albany Medical Center and pronounced dead at 6:35 p.m. An autopsy by the Albany County Medical Examiner's Office will determine an official cause of death. DeFeo, whose nickname was Butch, was convicted of killing his mother, father, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers inside their Amityville home on Ocean Avenue on November 13th, 1974. The then 23-year-old accused or used a .35 caliber Marlin lever-action rifle to slaughter his family members, who were all in bed at the time. Senior, Ronald, was 43. Mom Louise was 43. His siblings, his sisters Dawn and Allison, were 18 and 13 respectively, and his brother Mark was 12 and John just 9. Both parents were shot twice, while the siblings were each shot once. All the victims were found face down in bed. At trial, his lawyer mounted an insanity defense, claiming DeFeo heard voices saying his family was plotting against him. He was convicted in 1975 of 6 counts of second-degree murder and received 6 sentences of 25 years to life. DeFeo was scheduled for a parole hearing in July. Online DOC records show in a jailhouse interview in 2006, DeFeo claimed he only killed his father, his mother, and his eldest sister Dawn. The other siblings were murdered by Dawn before DeFeo killed her, he claimed. In 2017, the notorious 5-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom colonial home where the bloodbath took place sold for $605,000. Moving on. A woman is begging paranormal experts for help after she spotted what she believes is a demon standing over her granddaughter's bed. Tori McKenzie from Las Vegas set up a motion-activated camera at her son Ryan's house after her 2-year-old granddaughter Amber had begun talking to an unseen entity in the night. Several days later, Tori checked the camera's footage and was horrified to spot a figure standing just inches away from the young granddaughter and 7-month-old grandson Michael. Tori said, "It was so shocking when I saw it. I had to do a double take. The first thing I saw was horns on its head," which I don't see horns on its head. I really don't. I think she's just exaggerating a little bit. But anyways, with horns on its head, so you immediately think it's the devil or a demon. When we caught videos of the orbs, we thought it was a family member looking after the kids. But that picture? I have no idea. It's terrifying. I showed the kids and my 13-year-old son was scared by it. I ran over to the house and showed my eldest son. We were just in shock, and he couldn't explain it either. Everybody was asleep, so it couldn't have been my son or his partner. We still have still shots of him in there, and it looks nothing like that. I know that's something supernatural. Ryan has moved the kids out of their room and into his room. Nothing bad has happened to them yet, but it's the fact that it could. Oh, yes. Isn't that just a little scary? The 2-year-old isn't scared of the figure and thinks it's her friend, but one night she told it to go away. Tori has since shared a snap of the demon on a paranormal Facebook page asking for help. She claims that when she tried to get rid of the evil presence by burning oils, cabinets, and curtains opened and closed, and music began to play by itself. Tori added, "Ryan has let me try and figure it out where to go with this, so I thought I should post it on Facebook, because that's always the right thing to do. When in doubt, instead of getting help, you post it on Facebook, trying to get some help." For the most part, everybody's been supportive, suggesting what to do and who to speak to. I just want to get rid of whatever it is. I'm not that talented when it comes to technology to fake the photo, and I didn't share it on my own page, so it's not like I'm trying to get attention from it. Tori says her son's home, which he shares with his partner Alicia, is only 20 years old, so she's surprised it could be harboring a dark spirit. A terrifying artifact is currently in transit to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, the Ghost Adventures host told the media on Friday. Bagans is now the owner of the supposedly haunted acoustic guitar that could have been involved in the death of a teenager in 1979. "I don't play the guitar very well, but you can rest assured that I will most definitely play this instrument and see if anything happens to me," Bagans says. Bagans purchased the guitar, the brand of which is unknown since the logo has been removed, through online music retailer Reverb for $666. Reverb's listing included a macabre history of the instrument. Apparently, the seller was given the acoustic guitar, which is said to be cursed, by the mother of a deceased boy. The seller listed the instrument with a warning to the future buyer: "Please use extreme caution when conjuring the phantasmic spirits that seem to be channeled through this inquisious instrument," it read. Well, the original owner of the guitar was said to be 13 years old, a young boy who was rumored to be a Satan worshipper. The listing mentions black magic, devil worship, and more before noting how the guitar was possibly involved in the boy's untimely death. His death has never been solved, but the calamitous kid was found lying on his bed with this guitar draped across him, apparently electrocuted, even though this is an acoustic guitar, the listing claimed. According to the listing, the owner decided to sell the guitar because of the haunted activity it seemed to bring. I've heard the strings discordantly ring out, despite no one being near it. Further, on 3 occasions, I put the guitar in my bedroom closet, only to find the guitar on my bed when I returned home, and I live alone. The final straw occurred when I saw the guitar levitate out of the trash can I had somberly placed it in. For Bangans, it's the first haunted musical instrument he has in his collection of morbid items, and that's saying a lot. Bangans has some impressive artifacts from serial killers, cult leaders like Charles Manson, and even Jack Kevorkian's death van. The unique guitar will fit right in because of its heavy, rumored past. I was really blown away by the story behind the guitar and how the seller got the guitar directly from the boy's mother, Bangans wrote. Because of the provenance is why I jumped as fast as I could to buy the guitar. I was literally driving in my car when my phone started blowing up about the guitar for sale and was shocked when I was able to buy it. Visitors of the Haunted Museum can expect to see it in person later this year because a musician who had the guitar experienced so much with it, including it levitating and playing by itself. I will display it securely at the Haunted Museum for close observation, Bacons wrote. Of course, the Haunted Museum security cameras are ready to capture any freaky occurrences that follow the guitar to its new home. That's kind of cool. That's kind of real cool. The largest asteroid predicted to pass by Earth this year will be at its closest to the planet next week before being thrown back out into outer space. While the interplanetary interloper will not come closer than 2 million kilometers or 1.25 million miles from Earth, it will present a scientific opportunity for astronomers. The near-Earth asteroid will then make its closest approach on March 21st at a distance that is equivalent to 5.25 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. There is no threat of a collision with our planet now or for centuries to come, NASA said. We know the orbital path of this asteroid around the Sun was very accurate since it was discovered 2 decades ago and has been tracked ever since, said Paul Chodas, director of the Center of Near-Earth Object Studies, which is managed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. There's no chance the asteroid will get any closer. We're all going to be safe. However, because the distance is close in astronomical terms, the rock has been designated a potentially hazardous asteroid. Be careful. Hazardous asteroids flying around. Not hemorrhoids, asteroids. All right, bad humor there. Weighing 2.9 tons and traveling at 4.8 miles per second, a heap of old batteries is now the heaviest single piece of garbage to be jettisoned from the International Space Station. The pallet is packed with nickel-hydrogen batteries and will stay in low Earth orbit for the next 2 to 4 years before burning up harmlessly in the atmosphere, according to a NASA statement. Spaceflight Now reports that the pallet is the most massive object ever jettisoned by the orbiting outpost. NASA spokesperson Leah Cheshire confirmed this as being the case. The external pallet was the largest object, mass-wise, ever jettisoned from the International Space Station at 2.9 tons, more than twice the mass of the early ammonia servicing system tank jettisoned by spacewalker Clay Anderson during the STS-118 mission back in 2007. NASA's ballistics officer indicate no threat of the pallet smashing into other space objects, but this item, like all, will be tracked by U.S. Space Command. It wasn't the original plan for the pallet to be discarded like this. The failed launch of a Soyuz rocket in 2018, in which NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexei Ovchinin were forced to make an emergency landing in the Kaza Steppe caused a disruption to the spacewalking schedule, leading to the leftover pallet. NASA's spacewalk on February 1st, 2021, involving astronauts Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover, was notable in that it concluded a 4-year effort to upgrade the space station's batteries. These batteries store energy collected by solar arrays, but in 2011, NASA decided to make the switch from nickel-hydrogen batteries to lithium-ion batteries. Production of these batteries started in 2014, and the process of swapping them out began in 2016. The effort required for 4 supply missions from the Japanese H-2 transfer vehicle, cargo spacecraft, 13 different astronauts, and 14 spacewalks, in which 48 nickel-hydrogen batteries were replaced by 24 lithium-ion batteries. So, yeah, we might get a good explosion when that one comes back in. I'm just thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. A mother allegedly used explicit deep-fake photos and videos to try and get her teenage daughter's cheerleading rivals kicked off the team. Nice mom here. Mom of the Year award winner in Pennsylvania, Rafaela Spone, reportedly sent the content which showed members of the Victory Vipers team naked, drinking, and smoking to the coach. Deepfakes use artificial intelligence to doctor images and videos. Mrs. Spone has been charged with multiple counts of harassment. She is also accused of sending abusive messages to the team, their parents, and owners of the cheerleading gym using fake phone numbers. The Hilltown Township Police Department in Bucks County said it believed her daughter was unaware of the alleged incidents. One victim's parents contacted police in July saying their daughter had received harassing text messages from an anonymous number. 2 more families later came forward receiving similar messages. Mrs. Spone is believed to have used the girl's social media accounts to generate the deepfake images. Authorities traced the phone number that had sent the harassing text messages, which led them to a website that sells numbers to telemarketers. Police then followed the data to an IP address that was tracked to Mrs. Spone's home. Victory Vipers has always promoted a family environment, and we are sorry for all the individuals involved. We have very well-established policies and a very strict anti-bullying policy in our program, said Coach Mark McTagg. When this incident came out to our attention last year, we immediately initiated our own internal investigation and took appropriate action at the time. This incident happened outside of our gym. It could be soon become easier to detect whether the image had been created using deepfake technology. Scientists at the University of Buffalo have developed a tool that can identify whether an image has been doctored by analyzing light reflections in a person's eyes. The 2 eyes should have similar reflective patterns because they are seeing the same thing, said lead author Sui Liu. It's something that we don't notice when we look at a face. How horrid for that mother's daughter. Could you imagine? You can't go to school now, right? You can't go back to cheerleading. Horrible over cheerleading or anything like that, sporty. An Ontario cyclist captured a video of an unusual encounter with a loose ram that chased him for more than a mile down the road. Thunder Bay, Ontario's Keith Ailey said he was riding his bike on a road just west of the town when he spotted a dark-colored animal at the side of the road ahead of him. It was pretty big for a dog and really hairy. I see lots of dogs, and it was too small for a bear. Ailey said the animal, which he quickly recognized was a ram, watched attentively as he rode past. As soon as I went past him, he went on dead full-on sprint, Ailey said. He was kind of charging and making some grunts and pretty deep pass at the very least. Ailey captured a video of the ram running after him. He was running after me, and if I slowed down, he would speed up. And I thought, I wonder if he's going to give me a good shot here. You know, only a Canadian, probably played hockey, would say, I wonder if I'm going to get body checked by this ram. I'm just saying. You know, as long as it's a clean hit, it's okay. But the ram would have used his head, and that's a penalty. Would have got 2 minutes for roughing. You know, go sit in the ram penalty box for a little bit. Come back out, probably do it again. He went over the truck and tried to hang out with him for a little bit, Ailey said, and I pedaled off, and that was my experience. Ailey said he doesn't know where the ram came from, and he isn't aware of any farms that have sheep in the area. Hopefully he made his way back home, but I couldn't tell you for certain, Ailey said. Moving on. One more. An Australian man who lost his surfboard while catching a big wave discovered the board has been found 16 months later when it was spotted drifting 1,700 miles away. Danny Griffiths of Tasmania said he was surfing on the island of Pedra Branca off the southern coast of Tasmania, lots of sharks around there, in 2017 when he was separated from his board. There were about 5 of us surfing, and on my very last wave, I had to jump off at the end as it was one of the bigger waves of the day. It had closed down and started breaking towards me. We had a boat and a couple of jet skis looking for it for 2 or 3 hours. Normally you can find them. It's pretty easy due to their bright colors, but I never saw it again. Griffith said he learned of the board's fate nearly 4 years later when 2 tourists from northern Queensland visited Tasmania and mentioned some locals how their son, who were fishermen, found a surfing board floating off the water a few years earlier. A couple of local surfers clued in that it could have been mine, and we joined the pieces of the puzzle together, Griffith said. Couldn't believe it. The fishermen, Troy and Bo Breed, had plucked the board out of the water in 2018. Griffith said the barnacle-encrusted board apparently had been in the water for 16 months before being fished out nearly 1,700 miles from where he lost it. That is absolutely amazing. And not a single great white bite out of it either. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Then we read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Spiritually speaking, what do you want to learn about yourself or life in general? Cherry Pepsi Mike is kicking this one off. What is my connection to Gaia? I don't know. What is your connection, Cherry Pepsi Mike? I don't know. Let's move on. Davey, for many years I wondered what my purpose was. Now I know that it is to learn, to love, and to give. Davey, you're sounding like one of those messages you put on pillows. Love, laugh, and life. You are poetic. You should write for Hallmark. Bernadette, why am I here? What is my purpose? Still don't know. Probably never will. Captain Shirk's trying to be funny here. She couldn't find her glasses earlier today. They were on her head. 42, Dave. The answer is 42. But Tim disagrees. He says, no, Gail, 23. Jim Carrey foretold it. The number is 23. I don't even know what that means. Amy, trying to think of good questions for this topic makes my head explode a little. Am I just as clueless when my body dies as I am with my body? I hope not. Have we always been separate units of consciousness, or were we previously combined and decided to separate? How did I get here? Did we decide to do this, or does it happen on its own? When I was 4, I looked at my hands, and I told my mom those hands weren't really my hands, and I asked her how I got inside them. I told her that her hands were not really her hands either, but that she was inside them at the moment. Kimberly, being an empath, how to make the most of my sensitivity, and how is it a good thing that I am one, and how to make changes needed in order to use the gifts I have to create a better me. Kate, my path always seems to be set in concrete, learning to sit back and try and learn a lesson or two along the way. Personal growth is good. Tim, to pay for our kids and give them money even if they don't need it and make more than me. Daryl wants to learn how to fly, James wants truth, and Cousin Darren wants inner peace. Thank you to everybody in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to Captain Shirk for the news and Carrie Ann Sanders for being as quirky as can be. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brothers Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone checking us out in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Twitter, and our Space Travelers Club. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.